My name is Frances Townsend, and I am 22 years old. 2 weeks ago, I stood on a graduation platform before an audience of 3,000, while my parents, the very ones who refused to fund my college because they saw no value in investing in me, sat in the front row, their faces completely drained of color. They had shown up to watch my twin sister receive her degree. They had absolutely no clue I was present. They definitely didn't realize I would be the one delivering the keynote address. But the real beginning of this story isn't on that graduation stage. It starts 4 years earlier, in my parents' living room, when my father looked directly into my eyes and said words I will carry forever. Before I go further, please pause for a second to like and subscribe, but only if this story is genuinely speaking to you. Also, drop a comment telling me where you're tuning in from and what time it is there right now. Now let me bring you back to that summer evening in 2021. The college acceptance letters came on the same Tuesday afternoon in April. Victoria was accepted to Whitmore University, an elite private institution costing $65,000 per year. I was accepted to Eastbrook State, a respectable public university, at $25,000 per year. Expensive, yes, but within reach. That evening, Dad called everyone into the living room for a family meeting. "We need to talk about money," he announced, easing into his leather armchair like a boardroom leader. Mom sat on the sofa, hands clasped tightly. Victoria stood near the window, already beaming with excitement. I sat opposite Dad, still holding my acceptance letter. "Victoria," Dad started, "we will pay your entire tuition at Whitmore, room, board, all of it." Victoria squealed with joy. Mom smiled warmly, then Dad turned to me. "Frances, we've decided we will not be paying for your college." The statement didn't sink in immediately. "I'm sorry?" Victoria shows real leadership potential. She builds networks easily. She'll marry advantageously and create valuable connections. It's a smart investment. He stopped for a moment. Then came the part that felt like a blade between my ribs. "You're intelligent, Frances, but you're not exceptional. There's no payoff in investing in you." I glanced at Mom. She refused to look at me. I glanced at Victoria. She was already texting, probably spreading the news about Whitmore. So I realized I'd have to handle everything alone. Dad shrugged. "You're capable. You'll find a way." That night, I didn't shed tears. I'd already cried plenty over the years. Missed birthdays, hand-me-down presents, being edited out of family pictures. Instead, I sat in my bedroom and understood something life-changing. To my parents, I wasn't really their daughter. I was simply a poor investment. What Dad didn't realize, what no one in the family realized, was that his choice would completely reshape my future. And 4 years later, he would confront the results in front of thousands. This favoritism wasn't sudden. It had always existed, threaded through our family life like an ugly, ignored design. When we turned 16, Victoria received a brand new Honda Civic tied with a red bow. I received her old laptop, the one with the cracked screen and a battery that died after 40 minutes. "We can't buy 2 cars," Mom explained apologetically. Yet they afforded Victoria's ski vacations, her high-end prom gown, her summer program in Spain. Family trips were brutal. Victoria always had her own hotel room. I slept on sofa beds in corridors. Once I even slept in what the resort labeled a cozy nook that was actually a closet. In every family photograph, Victoria stood front and center, radiant. I was shoved to the side, sometimes half cropped out like an oversight. When I finally confronted Mom about it at 17, desperate for some explanation, she just sighed. "Honey, you're seeing things that aren't there. We love you both equally. But behavior tells the real story." A few months before the college decision, I found Mom's unlocked phone on the kitchen counter. A text conversation with Aunt Linda was visible. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. "Poor Frances," Mom had typed. "But Harold is correct. She doesn't shine. We need to be realistic." I set the phone down and walked away. That night, I made a private decision I shared with no one, not out of vengeance, but to prove something to myself. I opened my laptop, the cracked one with the failing battery, and searched. Full scholarships for independent students. The results loaded slowly, but what appeared would transform everything. I did the calculations at 2 a.m., sitting on my bedroom floor with a notebook and calculator. Eastbrook State, $25,000 per year, 4 years, $100,000. Parental support, $0. My summer job savings, $2,300. The shortfall was enormous. Without closing it, I faced 3 paths: drop out immediately, take on massive student loans that would haunt me forever, or attend part-time, turning a 4-year degree into 7 or 8 while working full-time. Every option led to the same outcome, becoming exactly what my father predicted: a failure, a bad investment, the twin who didn't succeed. I could already picture the Thanksgiving conversations. Victoria is thriving at Whitmore. Frances? Oh, she's still sorting things out. But this wasn't solely about disproving them. It was about confirming my own value. I browsed scholarship databases until my eyes stung. Most demanded recommendations, essays, evidence of need. Some were fraudulent, others had expired deadlines. Then I discovered something promising. Eastbrook offered a merit scholarship for first-generation and independent students, full tuition plus a living allowance. The downside? Only 5 recipients annually. The competition was fierce. I saved the link. I continued searching, and that's when I first encountered the name that would eventually redefine my life: the Whitfield Scholarship. Full tuition coverage, $10,000 per year for living costs, given to just 20 students across the entire country. I laughed aloud. 20 people nationwide? What were my odds? But I bookmarked it regardless. I had 2 paths ahead: accept the future my parents had mapped out for me, or create my own. I chose the second. To succeed, though, I needed a concrete strategy, and I needed it right away. That summer, I filled an entire notebook. Every page held numbers. Every margin held plans. Job 1, barista at Morning Grind Campus Cafe. Hours, 5 to 8 a.m. Projected monthly earnings, $800. Job 2, residence hall cleaning crew, weekends only, $400 monthly. Job 3, economics department teaching assistant, if I could secure it, another $300. Total, roughly $2,500 per month, about $18,000 yearly, still $7,000 short of tuition. That deficit would have to come from merit scholarships, the kind you earn through effort, not the kind you're gifted. I located the cheapest housing option within walking distance, a small room in a shared house with 4 others. $300 monthly, utilities included. No parking, no air conditioning, no solitude. It would suffice. My daily schedule became harsh but exact. 5 a.m. cafe shift. 8 a.m. 5 p.m. classes. 8 p.m. 10 p.m. study, work, or TA responsibilities. Sleep. 11 p.m. 4 a.m. The week before I moved to campus, Victoria posted pictures from her Cancun vacation with friends: sunsets, beaches, margaritas, joy. I was folding my thrift store comforter into a used suitcase. Our paths had already split, and classes hadn't even begun. But one thought kept me moving forward. Every night before closing my eyes, I whispered the same sentence to myself: this is the cost of freedom. Freshman year, 2nd semester. Microeconomics 101. Dr. Margaret Smith was a legend at Eastbrook. 30 years teaching, articles in every top journal, reputation that scared students. People whispered she hadn't awarded an A in half a decade. I always sat in the 3rd row, wrote detailed notes, and submitted my first paper, expecting maybe a B- on a good day. The graded essay came back with A+, written boldly at the top. Underneath, in red pen, see me after class. My stomach sank. What had I messed up? After lecture ended, I walked to her desk. Dr. Smith was already putting papers into her bag, silver hair in a tight bun, glasses resting low on her nose. Frances Townsend. Yes, ma'am. Sit. I sat. She looked at me over the top of her glasses. This essay is among the strongest undergraduate pieces I've read in 20 years. Where did you receive your prior education? Nowhere impressive, just a regular public high school, no honors track or anything. And your family background? Academic environment at home? I hesitated. My family doesn't support my education, not financially, not in any other way. The truth slipped out before I could catch it. Dr. Smith placed her pen down carefully. Tell me the rest. So for the first time ever, I told the entire story to someone. The favoritism that ran through everything, the outright rejection, the 3 jobs I juggled, the 4 hours of sleep most nights, everything. When I finished, she stayed quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke words that shifted my entire path. Have you heard of the Whitfield Scholarship? I nodded slowly. I've seen it mentioned, but it seems impossible. Only 20 students in the whole country. Exactly, she said. Full tuition, $10,000 a year for living expenses, and at partner institutions, the recipient is chosen to deliver the commencement address. She leaned forward slightly. Francis, you possess extraordinary potential, but potential stays invisible unless someone helps make it visible. Let me help you become visible. The next 2 years melted into one endless punishing routine. Wake at 4 a.m., cafe shift by 5 a.m., classes starting at 9 a.m., library until midnight or later, sleep, repeat. I skipped every party, every game, every casual, late-night hangout. While classmates made memories, I built a perfect 4.0 GPA across 6 straight semesters. There were nights I nearly collapsed. One morning, I passed out during my cafe shift. The doctor called it exhaustion and severe dehydration. I was back behind the counter the next day. Another time I borrowed Rebecca's car for a job interview, parked afterward, and cried for 20 minutes straight. Not because of one specific thing, but because everything had piled up for so long. Still, I kept moving. Junior year, Dr. Smith summoned me to her office. I'm nominating you for the Whitfield. I stared at her. You're serious? 10 essays, 3 interview rounds. It will be the most demanding thing you've ever attempted. She paused. But you've already survived far more difficult things. The application process swallowed 3 full months of my life. Essays on resilience, on leadership, on future vision, phone interviews with panels of academics, background checks, letters of recommendation. In the middle of it all, Victoria texted me, first contact in months. Mom says you don't come home for Christmas anymore. Kinda sad TBH. I read it. Then I turned my phone face down and returned to my essay. Truth was, I couldn't afford the plane ticket. Even if I could, I wasn't sure I wanted to return. That Christmas I spent alone in my rented room with instant noodles and a tiny handmade paper tree Rebecca had given me. No family, no gifts, no arguments. It was the calmest holiday I'd ever experienced. The email arrived at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday in September of my senior year. Subject line, Whitfield Foundation, final round notification. My hands trembled so badly I could hardly scroll. Dear Ms. Townsend, congratulations. From more than 200 applicants, you have advanced to the final 50 for the Whitfield Scholarship. The last stage will be an in-person interview at our New York headquarters. 50 finalists, 20 winners, a 40% shot if everything went perfectly. But nothing was ever perfect. The interview was set for a Friday in New York, 800 miles away. I checked my bank balance, $847. A last-minute flight would cost at least $400. A hotel would devour the rest. Rent was due soon. I was about to shut my laptop when Rebecca knocked. Frankie, you look like death. What happened? I showed her the email. She literally screamed, "You're going," she declared. No discussion. Beck, I can't afford. Bus ticket is $53. Leaves Thursday night, gets you there Friday morning. I'm lending you the money. I can't ask you. You're not asking. I'm insisting. This is your chance, Frankie. Chances like this don't come twice. So I took the overnight bus, 8 hours. Arrived in Manhattan at 5:40 a.m. with a sore neck and a borrowed thrift store blazer. The waiting room was filled with candidates who looked like they belonged. Designer bags, parents nearby, effortless confidence. I looked down at my secondhand clothes, my worn shoes. I thought, I don't fit here. Then I remembered Dr. Smith's voice. You don't need to fit. You need to prove you belong. 2 weeks after the interview, I was walking to my morning shift when my phone vibrated. Subject: Whitfield Scholarship, Decision. I stopped dead in the middle of the sidewalk. A bike messenger cursed and swerved around me. I didn't register it. I opened the email. Dear Ms. Townsend, we are delighted to inform you that you have been selected as a Whitfield Scholar for the class of 2025. I read it again, and again, and again. Then I sat on the curb and cried, loud, ugly sobs that made passers-by stare. 3 years of exhaustion, isolation, and relentless effort poured out right there on the street outside the morning grind. I was a Whitfield Scholar, full tuition, $10,000 a year living stipend, and the option to transfer to any partner university in their network for my final year. That night, Dr. Smith called me herself. Frances, I just received confirmation. I'm incredibly proud of you. Thank you for everything. There's more, she said. The Whitfield program allows you to transfer to a partner school for senior year. Whitmore University is one of them. Whitmore, Victoria's University. If you transfer, Dr. Smith continued, you would graduate with their highest honors, and the Whitfield recipient delivers the commencement address. My breath caught. Frances, you would be valedictorian. You would speak at graduation in front of the entire ceremony. I pictured my parents sitting in the audience for Victoria's moment, completely unaware I was there.